Hello, beautiful souls, mystical, magical humans. I am Chloe the Elven Mage. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Shop Chats. Oh, I've got lipstick on my cup. I do actually have coffee today. Yeah, although I feel good. I feel like the energy of this big fat supermoon has settled now, and it's like this restart, this new beginning and refresh of energy. So for those of you who are new here, Coffee Shop Chats is an intimate discussion where I invite you to join me with your favourite beverage, whether that's hot or cold, that's your choice. I live in Oxford in the UK, so most of the time I have a hot drink in my hand. So cheers. And I talk about, I would say, more scientific, spiritual, esoteric topics combined with my own teachings and experiences interwoven into this intimate chat. And just to share this, it should go without saying, but I do want to share this, that anything that I share is coming through my lens of experience and truth. So please don't feel that you have to agree with everything I say and share. I want you to know that you are so welcome here to take or leave whatever you choose. So all experiences are welcome here. I am really on a mission at the moment to bring people together and recognize that unity cannot be remembered and embodied if we are still embodying this state of you're right, I'm wrong, that's right. How about every opinion has an essence of truth, and each individual has the right to make their own choices. So that's my invitation to you. Take what you wish from these conversations. I will be honoured and really pleased if you do enjoy these conversations and you do find something useful from them. And if you don't, if you like just laughing at me while I sit here and talk, that's great also. I'm here for the silliness, here for the whimsy. So welcoming you, and this is part 2 of the multidimensional stages of healing. Please, if you have not watched part 1, go back and watch part 1. Pause this, go and watch part 1 before you watch this video. My guides are saying it's really important that you watch and integrate part 1 before receiving this video, no matter where you are on your healing journey, no matter where you are on your life journey. If you are finding this video, please go and watch part 1 so that you can get the full message of these videos. And in the last video I set up a safe space in the video. Today I have already set up a safe space around myself, but also around the entire session of this recording. So if you are watching this and receiving this, know that you are welcomed with your guides and with your team to step inside the safe space here, and we will be guided and protected. I just felt that last time the video was so long. And blessings to you who actually stayed for the whole hour and a half, I think it was. But it was very long. I actually prefer, if I can, to keep my videos now under an hour. And that's completely my own preference. Like, I know that if I see a video coming up that's more than an hour, I'm unless it's a movie, obviously, I'm less likely to engage with it. 45 minutes, like 30 to 45 minutes is my ideal. But sometimes we cannot tame the messages that wish to come through. So, cheers to that. So in part 1, we went on the journey of the stages of healing as a human, a soul having a human experience, or a human experiencing itself as a soul, whichever way you want to look at it. So we are moving through the chakras, or the energetic gateways. I read someone calling them that today, actually, and I really like that, the energetic gateways. And we started with the mind, so the first eye, and the importance of the mind before the body. Because a lot of people can have very open crown chakra, be really open to receiving messages and celestial and otherworldly guidance, but their mind can be polluted by conditioning or personal trauma and personal circumstance and personal opinion. So we always start with the mind, and then we go down into the root, our sense of safety, security, the general health of our home in our body in this human experience. And then we moved up to the sacral chakra. Wow, a big one, big, juicy one. So much to be spoken about here. We moved through there, through the emotions, emotional trauma, emotional healing, creative energy. And then we came up into the navel chakra, our Manipura, that jewel, that gem of self-worth, and really finding our joy and our power and our sunshine from within. So the mind, self-awareness, and then the body of, I am here in this body, and then coming up into that self-healing and that surrendering to, okay, I'm going to have to address some shadow aspects of myself. It's very much the feminine healing in the waters. And then as we rise into that more masculine energy in the navel chakra, where we take on that sunshine and we start taking action and start saying, yes, I'm going to talk to myself differently now. I'm going to start bigging myself up. I'm going to start feeling joyful. Then we start moving into the heart, and wow, there is so many dimensions of the heart. And you will see and experience a lot of people saying, it's all about being in the heart, living from the heart. Absolutely, yes, because the heart is the stargate. And why I say stargate, the heart is where our soul connects into our body in human form. It connects the physical, the earthly to the cosmic, the astral, the godly. It's also our own stargate, our North Star, this energy center that's guiding us home. So it's incredibly powerful, the heart. However, if we're trying to be heart-centered, kind and loving and giving without going down into the depths of our heavy humanness and doing that necessary healing, we're going to have a leaky heart, which can look and feel like lack of boundaries, overgiving, real sensitivity, and not being able to take on truth or have honest conversations. It can be, not being feeling that we are really open in the heart. You can really feel that open-heartedness, but it's like having a tap that's turned on in a bath, and then it's just overflowing everywhere. It's not in a healthy physical container, which helps to direct the energy in a harmonious and supportive and functional way. So this is where we get to the heart energy center. I'm only going to talk about the main heart energy center, the Anahata, which is the green energy center today. We could go on and on and on and on when we talk about the chakras and the energy centers. I'm just covering the main 7 today, and it's like that 7 staircase. Of course, I did talk about the first eye, but let's call this the mind. So I would call that actually like the zero energy center. And then we move up 1 to 7 when we start with the root and then come up to the crown. So that brings us into, if that's the case, 0 to 7, we're at number 4 today. Oh, 4 is my life path number. Before I knew that, 4 from as far back as I can remember was always my lucky number. So again, that just proves like our heart knows, our intuition knows. Let me just have another little sip before we get into the heart. And let me, and if anyone's watching this and wondering why I set up a safe space, for this session in particular, I always have a safe space around myself daily when working with clients, but for these sessions, I invite in my guides to channel through me. So I want to make sure that the energy is clean, clear, safe and protected. So that's why, if anyone was wondering why I did that on this video and not other videos, or that you haven't seen me mention it before. So let me try and remember the format of how I did this video before. So we have the heart energy center. So let's talk about the physical first. Let's start in the human realms. The heart, right? When we talk about the energy center or the energetic gateway of the heart, it's right in the center of the chest. So it's not just the physical placement of the heart. It's covering the whole of the center of the chest, including the lungs, the rib cage, and then this kind of upper part of the chest where it goes up and meets the throat. So the heart and the throat are very directly linked as well. So the state of your heart, and that also implies to the state of your lower physical container energy centers, the state of that will affect the state of your throat and your ability to communicate. So it's this physical energy center right in the center of our being. And when you think of it in that way, you think, hang on a minute, there's probably a lot more below me than above me. But if we think about it generally, yes, it's kind of in the middle of the torso. And then we have the legs and the arms and the head are all above the heart. So physically speaking, connected to the heart, lungs, chest, back, shoulders and arms, but not the hands. Okay, so arms, think about it when you're hugging someone. What a beautiful way to be heart to heart and to give and receive that loving energy. Shoulders are a huge one. This is something interesting about the heart, which I haven't mentioned with the other energy centers, as I find that it's the most prominent in the heart, but you will experience it in other energy centers as well, but it's the front and the back of the heart. So it's and why it's more prominent in the heart is because it's the giving and the receiving of love. And this is an interesting one, because if we come back down to the navel center, which is our seat of abundance, because it's when we start feeling that we have self-worth, that we are driven, that we feel confident in ourselves, we begin to open up that receivership of abundance. So when we're not confident and when we perhaps feel ashamed or we don't feel like we're good enough, it blocks off the back gate of our heart out of fear of being hurt or betrayed. So it's very interesting how remember I said before, it's not about necessarily the physical and the spiritual, they all intertwine. So it looks like this double helix, like a DNA strand. And we have this main energy channel that runs from the base of the spine up to the crown of the head. And then of course, all the way beyond to earth and to cosmos and source. And then either side of that, we have these two energetic channels that spiral. So it's this constant flow of energy of giving and receiving up and down. So if one energy center is blocked or stuck or not flowing harmoniously, it will have an effect on the entire system. So that's about the giving and the receiving of the heart. And because this energy center covers such a huge span of the physical body, We can often find that we can connect to literal physical points on the body when something's going on with our heart. So for example, pain in the shoulders, that's a real classic one. So that's that physically. And in the last video, we spoke about the hyperglands, so the main glands, and this one is the thymus gland. So it's somewhere around here between the heart and the lungs. We have the thymus gland. So this energy center is directly linked to one of the main glands, the thymus. I think that's how you say it. My pronunciation, sometimes I'm like, I'm not a scientist, by the way. I don't have any medical background. I am just teaching what I was taught in my Kundalini Yoga teacher training from the Sri Yoga Ashram, thanking my beautiful teachers and the lineage there. But I'm also teaching through my own experiential learning and the experiences that I've had with working through this in myself. Okay, so we've had the physical aspects. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people as well, and this may or may not be a shock to you, but a lot of people can't actually feel their heartbeat. And that is, of course, a disconnect from the heart. And why this is important? Well, our heartbeat also is very connected to the heartbeat and the rhythm of the earth. So that's important. And something about being able to feel and hear that beat of the heart is a reminder that there's something going on in our body that's not just our mind, this constant whirring machine that's going. There's something deeper and more ancient and more rhythmic in the center of us that's always beating and always pounding. So something to be aware of. And if you can't hear or feel the rhythm of your heart, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's like an instrument that can be practiced and set intentions. There's different breathing exercises that you can do to help to raise your heartbeat in a safe way, as long as you don't have any heart conditions. So it's something to just be aware of. And why the heart also is such a big and expansive area is it's the heart and the lungs. And this is an interesting one because obviously with the lungs, the heart is directly connected to the element of the air. And I love this because it's that classic idea of go out into nature, be around the green, the colour of the heart chakra, and breathe in the air of nature. And I would say that probably 9 people out of 10, if they went out into a forest where you could just bathe in the green and breathe in that fresh air, you would feel significantly more in your heart and less in your head than you did before. So it's a beautiful connection there. But, you know, health of the heart and the lungs are directly connected. The lungs are also connected to grief. It's like holding that heaviness of grief and heartache can be expressed in the lungs through lung disease, coughs and things like that. So there is a lot of emotional ties with the health of the heart and the lungs that come in this energy center. So that's one of the physical ways that you can really start working on the health of your heart. Of course, things like exercise, like I'm going to be quite scientific in this practice today, less spiritual and esoteric. Exercising, getting your heart rate going, getting that blood pumping around your body, saying, yes, heart, I love you. Like, it's people often bypass the very power of our daily activities and things that we're doing, but getting the heart rate up, pumping, sweating, think about it, your armpits, it's all in this area, getting it moving, and then breathing breathing, breathing, breathing. I think I posted a short actually on this breath that you can do, which literally ripples out the energy from your center. I'm not going to link it to this video because I want to link part 1, but I can share it. If anyone comments to this and they want me to share that video, I'll share it as a post so you can see it. But breathing exercises really help you to drop out of the head and into the heart. Yeah, so many practices. Boundaries are so important, and the unfortunate thing about really coming strong and sovereign in your heart is that you may disrupt or trigger, is another word, people around you, because you being in your truth and authenticity disrupts them where they are at. So it's so important to have this strong foundation of the emotional healing, the strong sense of being in your body, this strong sense of self-worth, self-knowing, self-belief, self-love, a calm nervous system. Remember, in the root chakra, that is taking care of the nervous system, making sure that we're sleeping well, eating well, where possible, for those of us who are privileged to have that. So that when we are in our heart and speaking from our hearts, we know that it is coming from a place of grounded, sovereign truth and genuine care and compassion. So let's go into the emotional states of the heart now. So when we think of air, when it's blowing is so cleansing and clearing and expansive, but when air is like a storm, it can be disruptive, confusing, it can be here and there. So often when the heart is imbalanced, it can cause this like a bipolar energy, but I'm not saying that that is the cause of mental illness, because that is such a complicated and complex topic. But it can be this real confusion of flitting between I feel great and then like, oh no, I feel terrible. So it's this constant flipping and flopping and the scales tipping up and down between heart and mind, body, heart, mind, body. So confusion, hurting, bitterness, sadness, grief, hatred. Yeah, those are more of the negative vibrations of the heart. I'm not saying negative as in bad, but negative if we just think of the polar opposites. Positive emotions of the heart: strength and courage. Oh, and I forgot to say, yeah, for the other emotions of the heart, overgiving. So this is more actions. Overgiving, and also rose-tinted glasses. And this is something that I'm still working through with myself, is always seeing the good in people and choosing to bypass red flags. And this is a tricky topic, but I would say that this applies to people who are in your personal circle, because we can't isolate ourselves from the world. Everyone is vibrating from and existing at a different frequency, their own frequency. We can't avoid that. We can protect ourselves, but I would say boundaries with whom we choose to let into our personal space are super important. Yeah, because trust begins in the sacral center, but it ripples up to the heart as well. So self-trust and trusting others. If that's not balanced below, these barriers of trust, they'll just be non-existent. So we'll let anyone in and we'll let anything out. yeah, and then the beautiful, harmonious, balanced qualities of the heart, of course, love, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, courage, having that strength to be like, no, do you know what? I'm going to speak my truth and actually stand up for what I believe in. It may hurt some people, it may help some people. So courage, kindness, compassion, authenticity. Authenticity starts in the heart and is expressed through the voice. Yeah, forgiveness, kindness, love, letting go, beautiful qualities of the heart, being honest, honesty actually, and not holding back. And there's a lot of practices that we can do when working with the heart, but I would say the foundational things, as I mentioned, are tuning into the heartbeat, start breathing, spending time in nature. All right, then we move up to the throat chakra, all the way up here in the throat. And yeah, when we think of the throat chakra, when it's in a unharmonized state, we either are going to be spitting venom, so like gossip or talking evilly, or with not kind intentions behind our words towards ourselves and towards others, or on the opposite end of that spectrum, constantly holding back and holding our tongue and feeling like we can't ever speak what's on our heart or express ourselves in the way that we want to. So it's a huge one. And this was something that actually wasn't taught in my yoga training, but it's something that I have learned through amazing shamanic teachings, but also through vocal coaches and singers. Is like, actually, your voice is your manifestation tool. And I was like, wow, that is so true. And it's funny because I used to have these experiences before I was kind of as conscious as I am currently now. I still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong. I will always be the first to put my hands up and say that. But I would always be like, because I used to really, really suffer with depression, anxiety and mental health problems when I was younger. But I always found that if these thoughts were coming in, these dark thoughts, if I shouted, "Shut up!" out loud, it would really help. So it's almost like, again, we know intuitively what is best for us and what helps us, but we question that, or we think we're crazy because we're taught other things. So the power of the voice. And once we recognize the power of our voice, that voice can also be used internally to start working in harmony with the mind and rewiring both the conscious and the subconscious thoughts. So we can start catching those thoughts that say, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or, oh, they're so amazing, I'll never be like that. Catching that and saying, I'm on a journey. I am going to be even bigger and better than I could ever believe. I am living my best fantasy main character story. And it's like, it makes me laugh because there's that old saying, fake it till you make it, where I don't agree with, because I don't believe you should fake anything. But it's like, make it till you make it. Tell yourself until it becomes true. And I saw someone share about this today, about miracles, and it really, really resonated deeply with me about how I have been operating in this past year with miracles. It's like, miracles are not what we pray for and ask for. Miracles are what we allow into our field when we choose to change our frequency to match them. And that is so empowering, because we're no longer praying and begging and asking. We are choosing to become a being that is living in the realm of miracles. But it takes training with this instrument. Remember, our voice is a divine instrument, training this instrument. And it does take discipline. It takes a lot of self-reflection and being like, okay, yeah, maybe I am talking about other people more than I would like to, and say, I accept that about myself, but moving forward, I want to do that less. Yeah, so it's also being kind to ourselves, remembering that we're moving up from the heart. So we're doing this from a place of kindness, non-judgment, non-blame, non-bitterness, and non-hate, saying, okay, I've been doing this and I now choose to do this differently. So it's very sovereign and action oriented. And what I love also about the throat is that the element of the throat is ether. And I used to be like, what on earth is ether? And ether is like the space beyond space. And I don't mean space as in NASA space. It's like the space between. So it's like, it's everything around, everything under, everything in. So it's like the realm of infinite possibility. Everything is possible. That is the Mystic Heart's mantra. Everything is possible. And that is the element of the throat, and the color of the throat chakra, or the throat gateway, the manifestation gateway, is blue. And my yoga teachers taught me that it's like the sky blue. So one of the most beautiful and potent ways of healing when we want to connect in with nature, healing the throat, is on a summer's day or a spring day or an autumn day when we have a blue sky where we're able to see the sky. Is going to lay in an open space and gaze upon that blue etheric openness of the sky, and just gaze upon that in wonder. And I invite you to ask yourself, when was the last time you did that? And I ask myself that, and I say, my instant answer is way too long ago. Way too long ago. That it's that childlike wonder of, and think of children, right? They have no filter on expressing themselves. And we can come back to that state, but from a much more grounded and mature and loving and kind space, where we don't hold back, but we also know that we have this beautiful container to express it in a way that really is coming from the heart and from truth. I just get happy when I think of that blue sky and that openness and those endless possibilities. So the throat is the hands as well. Think of it, expression, casting spells. Remember that your words are spells. So be very mindful of what you say about yourself and what you say about other people. This is why pointing fingers like this can be very aggressive, and it can be directing anger and aggression at someone. So, and it's funny, someone reflected to me once, a long time ago, more than 10 years ago, when I was still, it was very, very much at the very beginning of my spiritual awakening journey, that I would always be like this. So always covering my heart and protecting my heart. And they were like, oh, why are you doing that? It's like you don't want to be near me. And I'll be like, oh, what? I wasn't even aware that I would stand like this, you know, shoulders shrugged, covering myself. And it's this like openness of welcoming in that energy. That is probably more about the heart. No, it's heart and throat, because it's expression, how we hold ourselves. Are we open to this person? And I always say hands up is I'm welcome to receive energy. Hands down is more that, okay, I'm just going to stay centered and grounded. Open to anyone else's perception and experience of that as well. But hands, very important. And it's interesting, I often really notice people's hands now, and it's very rare to meet someone whose hands aren't constantly twitching or doing something. I'm going to invite you to notice that now, and perhaps notice for yourself. Are you tapping? Are you constantly moving? Is there something in here that is trying to be expressed through movement? So we have the neck, the whole of the neck, the front, the sides, the back. We also have the ears and the jaw, important one, and the mouth. So all of this area. Top of the shoulders, I would say as well. Heart is kind of the front and the back. The throat and the heart very much connect and merge into one. So the main hyper gland that's connected into the throat is the thyroid gland. And thyroid issues and imbalances have become totally normalized in Western society. Even my mum, people close to me, clients, so many people that I know are on levothyroxine, the hormone replacement drug, and yeah, it's become normalized. And something that's very interesting, that I find very interesting, is that the throat and the sacral are directly connected. Doesn't matter what biological form your body is in, they are directly connected. So your emotional state and the amount of emotional weight from emotional trauma that you're holding in your sacral that is unfelt and unexpressed will have a direct connection to the health of your throat. So it's your throat, your voice, your thyroid glands, ears. So this is another one. It's how you hear and how you listen. And this also implies to how you read and receive something. So a lot of people would think that's like to do with the eyes, you know, how do we perceive and read something? But actually it's like reading a message, how we take that in is to do with what's going on in here. So our own expression of ourselves and our level of expressing ourselves authentically will create this lens of already understanding something in a way that is affected by our own state. And this is very, very interesting. So what have we covered? We've covered the gland, the physical state, the element, the colour, blue, beautiful, deep, rich blues. You'll notice that in my logo, the Mystic Hearts logo, it's the blue butterfly. Part of my mission is helping people to break free from these fears that build up within so we can become this true, authentic expression of self, so that then we can spread our wings and help others to do the same. And that's all to do with expression. And when I say expression, it's not just about speaking, it's about how you choose to dress, show up in the world, what kind of music you listen to, if you are embarrassed about other people's voices and opinions of you, how willing you are to share, how good you are at listening. Any type of expression, and of course attached to witch woundings, individual and collective, spanning across thousands of years of timelines. This wounding of patriarchal control, not saying male, just patriarchal control as this machine of power that wishes only to consume and only to minimize that which it is threatened by. This wounding of where we feel like we're too scared to speak, that us being in our magic and our power is threatening and dangerous. This is all connected to the throat, and this can come across as jaw ache. A lot of us get that. Tension in the ears, infections in the throat, thyroid problems. Yes. So emotionally, I think we've kind of spoken about this. I would say that actually it's not so much emotions now as it is of whatever hasn't been healed further down will be expressing itself through the throat. So it's more of that. So if there's fear, fear will be being expressed. If it is certain conditioning that makes us feel small, that will be expressed. If we feel like we're stuck and caged up, that's what will be expressed. So however we feel as a whole, that is how we will express, and that is how we will listen, and that is how we will perceive messages and information. And also our manifestation tools. So we create our reality. And that's not saying that, you know, if you live a life of poverty, pain and disaster, that you asked for it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But in every moment we have a choice. And that is where the empowerment of the throat chakra really comes in, because it is that realization that what we speak out and keep speaking out and keep reprogramming no matter what will become our reality. For some of us who are quick and clean and clear and bright and in the flow of it, could be overnight. Some of us could take 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. Depends what it is, and it depends on the level of healing and movement, and it just depends on the person and their life path and their journey. So yes, that is the power of the throat. Healing, how can we heal it? Like I said, the nature connection, viewing the beautiful blue sky, but also, like, even if it's not a blue sky, going out into spaces in nature where you can really perceive expansiveness of space. So obviously being inside in a closed and contained space all the time is not going to support our throat chakras. Going out into the space and screaming and roaring and singing and humming, all of those things. But I would also say a really beautiful human way of exercising the throat chakra, and this is, you might think this is a bit of a controversial one, but is practice listening without interrupting. Practice saying to someone, okay, I just want you to speak for 5 minutes and I'm just going to listen and not say anything back to you. I'm just going to take in whatever you tell me, and then afterwards relay back to them some of the main points of what they shared with you. Could be a real interesting practice for how you receive conversation and information and how you listen. And if you are coming from this place of trauma conditioning where you feel that you need to constantly butt in or say something, so that can be an interesting, very human tool that you can practice for the throat chakra. And of course, witch wound healing. And if you're interested, I have a Awaken the Witch Within witch wound guided meditation. You can find that on my page. Also a 2-hour masterclass and some journal prompts. The link to that is on my channel. For a small amount of money, you can buy the replay, the meditation, a 3-page playbook, which is all journal prompts and introspective questions, and email communication between me to support you in your integration journey. All right, so now we're going to move on up. Oh my goodness, it's 40 5 minutes already and we've only gone through 2 energy centers. All right, I'm gonna move on up a little bit more quickly because the heart and the throat are super powerful. And once we have harmonized and opened and grounded in these and done a healing, then generally speaking, these next 2 energy centers will flourish on their own as a result of going through all that rigorous cleansing and construction work of mind to root to sacral to navel to heart to throat. Because when we are coming from a sovereign place of expressing our authenticity, that is when our third eye, our pituitary gland, master gland, a lot of people think it's pineal. In my yoga teachings, my Kundalini yoga teachings, the third eye is the pituitary gland. That feels safe to open. And we talked about the mind before, and that is perception, open-mindedness, a willingness to see the world from other people's viewpoints. When we come into the third eye, this is our way of seeing in a non-human perspective. So this is when our psychic gifts and abilities can come even more online. Our voice of inner knowing and inner wisdom. And recognizing that there are so many more senses to be aware of, right? You know, we're taught that it's just sense of touch, taste, smell, sight and sound. There are so many more expansive senses of seeing from within, feeling, remembering, receiving in dreams. It's expanding the sensory awareness beyond what we are told is all that we are able to perceive in a human form. So it's when the mystical, multi-dimensional experience of life can really activate and come online. And often we get this when we've worked our way up and are really open in the heart as well. It can have this ripple effect up into our upper energy centers. So I would say to work on your third eye, go down. Go into the descent, work on what it is that's blocking you from feeling safe to be in your full multidimensionality. There are some things and practices that people say you can do, like decalcifying your pineal gland. So that's like getting making it clogged up with a residue of rust. So like fluoride, so not drinking tap water, stop using fluorinated products like toothpaste, which both of those things I have done for the past probably about 12 years, I would say. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a dentist, so I'm not giving you health advice. My teeth are fine. My teeth are white, straight, healthy. I haven't had any fillings. So for me, it has worked. I have found that it has supported my mind. And I would say that also, and again, please take this with discretion and discernment. But when we are working with the multi-dimensional perspective of life, working with plant medicines, once we are in a very safe, grounded, sovereign sense of self, can help to support the expansion of this multi-dimensional viewpoint of life. I myself have worked for many, many, many years of my life with psilocybin, both in very small microdoses to support my mental health, but also in very large, expansive doses where I've done this with trained practitioners. That's my number one. But then also cacao. Cacao is really good for the pineal gland, but also amazing heart medicine. There's things like blue lotus, but I would say use your discernment. Also parasite cleansing. This is something that's really important. So keeping your vessel clean and clear constantly minimizing your consumption of low vibrational substances like alcohol, chemical drugs, pharmaceutical medicine, fast foods, anything that's made against nature. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a perfect human, but the more that you minimize these things, the more that you're going to support your nervous system in general, but the more that you're going to keep this slate clean and this vessel clean for the energy to be able to flow up and down harmoniously. Gosh, I could just go on and on and on and on. And then, okay, so let's talk about, so we've talked about the gland, and we've spoken a bit about the quality and the superpower of it. Positioning, eyes, eyesight, headaches, real headaches, sinuses, blockages in the sinuses. These are all signs that are related to either the mind or the third eye. So one of the two, but it's all like this band around here above the ears and then back round to the lower part of the head as well. It's like those little nodules down at the bottom of the head. So that is the physical connection of the third eye. You could also say the nose as well, but the nose has different connections. The nose can also be related to the root chakra. But if we're thinking of it as, and also the throat, not the throat, the heart, because it's where we breathe through. But if we think about the nose, it's to do with senses. So we can relate the sense of smell to come up in through the sinuses. So the nose is kind of a multifaceted tool. So it's mainly eyes, eyesight, any eye injuries or illnesses, and then all the way around that band of the head and down to the back of the head. The element of this energy center is the element of light, which is interesting to me. It's light. It is this energy, the speed of light. So it's the balance, if we think about perhaps the root, that could be very dark and deep into the earth. And then when we come up, it's the element of light. And then when we go beyond, it's all elements and no elements. So it's the element of light, and the color therapy or the color healing is deep indigo. So that beautiful deep indigo purple color. And I know a lot of people, when they are on like a spiritual awakening or some kind of spiritual journey, feel very connected to that deep indigo color. It can also be really calming and relaxing to have that deep indigo color around you as well. It can have that calming and expansive effect on the mind. And it's, saying that I want to, and I'm ready to open up those extra sensory perceptions of the mind. And what I would say about that is, so many people ask me, how can I get visions? Like, my third eye isn't open. I don't have any visions. But remembering what we've just said about the throat and how our words cast spells. So if you are saying, I can't see anything, my third eye isn't open, you're automatically shutting it down and saying, I don't believe in this power that I have within me. But what I also want to share is that there will be a very important and specific reason why you don't have visions. And also visions can come in many different forms, shapes and sizes. Not everyone can close their eyes and have these crystal clear cinematic visions. Often it comes as just lights or shapes or shadows. For myself, usually it comes as like a snapshot of an old photograph of an old memory. For me personally, it's never, well, no, actually, I'm not going to say never. Sometimes it is. It's unpredictable. And it's learning how to flow with the different senses. But what I would say is that if you don't feel that you have inner eye visions, it could be because you are being guided to lean into another sensory perception. It wants you to enhance another sensory perception because you might have a superpower of feeling or of knowing or of smelling or of healing or of reading someone's emotions. Those are incredible superpowers. Having strong visuals can actually be really overwhelming, and I think a lot of people take that for granted, that often when people really open up psychically, and I've known people that this has happened to personally, they end up getting sectioned and putting in a psych ward because they're seeing so much that your perception of reality can get really warped. And if you're not in the right kind of supportive and understanding community, people will make you start questioning yourself. So that's just my sort of mum hat. Not that I'm a mum, not in this lifetime, not yet. But it's my mum hat of just saying, like, you know, just really appreciate where you are and what you've got, and you don't need to strive for a quality of someone else that you think you should have. What you've got and what you've been given is perfect and complete, and it's what you are, what you need right now is what you have. So you're amazing. And then we move up into the crown, top of the head, this part of the head here. And it's like, if you think about our hair, it's our antenna. Our hair is like our antenna. So our scalp, our hair, and the top of our head are all connected. And then this one is connected to the pineal gland, the manger gland, the pineal gland. And when we think of the crown chakra, this is our connection to God. And I'm just going to say it as God because I invite you, when I say the word or the expression of God, how do you react to that? What is your perception and connection to God? Do you have religious trauma or programming? Does God feel like home to you? What does that word represent to you? Because this is all about your connection to God, to union, to source, to truth that comes from beyond this human form, but is also this human form in expression. So it's like everything and nothing. And everything and everything. So I'm going to leave that quite simple for you. You know, what is your understanding and your feeling around the word God? And yeah, it's also your antenna, so your connection to guides, other vibrational frequencies, your ability to read others as well. That could be connected to the crown. That can also just be very much in your heart, sense of empathy. But it does open up these other channels of receiving information and understanding information. So it opens up, I would say, different channels of energy, which can be good and can be bad, malevolent and benevolent. I always stumble over those words. So of the light or not of the light. Color of the crown chakra. Well, it could be deep dark purple. Some beliefs think that it's gold, some think it's white light, and if you think that it's white light, then technically that means it's the whole prism and the whole spectrum of all the rainbow colours. I quite like that one, but it needs to have black included because it's everything. And that's the crown. And again, with the crown, a harmonized, open, safe, clean, bright, beautiful, shining crown chakra depends on the harmony of the entire energetic gates from base to heart to crown. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was taught in my yoga teacher training, is that there's not practices that you can do for your crown chakra. I mean, you can do headstands if you really want to get a rush of blood to the head, but I would say that that would actually more suit your mind and your third eye. But the crown, when it's opened and blossoming and beautiful, like this rainbow lotus coming out of the crown of your head, is a result of harmony of your entire being. But also some practices that I've learned through quantum healing is energy protection, clearing, cleaning in many ways that you can, and using this powerful tool of your voice to use that to protect yourself and say, no, I don't allow this energy into my field, you know, having that sovereignty and that power over this big channel that is open. So it's an hour now. I have no idea how that time went. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee Shop Chats. I would love, 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 love to hear your reflections in the comments. If they're on the back of part 1 and part 2, if there's any videos that you would like me to create, to go deeper into any of the topics covered, or to go into more detail, or if there's anything that I can share with you that would help to support you in gaining this deeper understanding of yourself, helping you to harmonize, just any way that I can support you, please let me know. Or if there's something completely different that you'd like me to cover in next week's Coffee Shop Chats, I would love to know. Sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Mwah.